What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic and excellent spirits. Yes, my man Nike. I'm sure you can hear me. I don't have my headphones in because I figured since I didn't have the headphones in for the live stream for the wild card game and the week before that, Ravens Steelers, I figured I'd just go ahead and not even deal with the headphones. So if you could just give me a thumbs up or just say, yes, you can hear me loud and clear there in the chat room, I'd appreciate it. Yes, Nike. Greetings to you, my man. Much appreciated. As always, Val. Oh, he's getting surgery today. George Kittle. Obviously, we're not going to see him, as we know, with the torn Achilles. Cal, my man. I was dreaming last night. I dreamt Kyle Tucker. Welcome to New York City, baby. We're going to talk about that. We are absolutely 1,000% going to talk about that. So that's one of the topics we'll touch on, Cal. So definitely hang tight for that. Thank you, Val, as always, for liking the live. Thank you, Cal, for confirming the audio video is good. And my guy Bio out west, as well as Val. Val, of course, Northern California, and then Bio in Southern California. Greetings to you, my man. And welcome. Here we are, already the middle of January. I remember 2 weeks ago this time I was running up Broadway, and it felt like that was 2 minutes ago. But here we are as we get set for another big weekend in sports, really in football. And who knows what's going to happen there with the free agency. I'm going to touch on the Kyle Tucker thing in a little while. And when is the national championship game in college football? Is that Valentine's Day? I got to talk about that. I mentioned that on the podcast Monday, and it's just a disgrace. And I actually have a solution as to what they could do to change that. I don't know if that's going to be plausible in the eyes of the committee, but I would think, considering that the championship game should be played before the NFL postseason even starts. And I would think a lot of people would agree with that. And I would think that the NCAA would also look at that and say, yeah, you know what? We should try to get the championship game before the NFL starts their postseason because nobody cares. In fact, right now, you wouldn't even think. You say, wait, did they already play the championship game? Obviously not the case. So, I got a few thoughts to share on that. As the, yes, I see we got a baker's dozen. Welcome aboard. If it's your first time, welcome. For those that are my day ones and beyond that, or I should say forward to that, welcome back. So let's see what else we got here with the comments. Uh-oh, look at this. J-Rod is back in all caps. Got his name back. What is happening? All right. The world is right, just knowing that J-Rod got his name back. And the Oregon, yes, Nike. I know, and that's your team too. Don't you like Oregon? I'm hearing Marcus Freeman a lot for the Steelers' new coach. I know, I heard that too. Hole in the sock was happening. Woohoo. Exactly what's going on. What's up? Good to see you back in the chat room and, of course, here on the live stream. Now, I'm going to talk about the Steelers head coach in a second, and we'll get into Marcus Freeman too there, Jay, I promise. And, oh, yes, let's see, Nike. Indiana was a championship game. Oh, yeah, against Oregon. I tell you, it is bad to think that, again, this game is going to be played in 5 days. And what was it? The Indiana-Oregon game was 5 days ago. What's this? Hole in the sock? You're walking here? Wait, you're walking down the street and you're sending me love and kisses, huh? All right. You're in the car with the emoji. I got my glasses here, so just in case. Maybe I should put them on. Ay. Kayla Turner, welcome. I appreciate you. AI? I don't know. Is it AI? Is it the real me? Is it a version of me in AI? I don't know. No, I'm kidding. I'm being silly. Yes, Nike, absolutely 1,000%. So good to see some new faces in the room. I appreciate that. And obviously the regulars, I appreciate you too. Yeah, Jay is AI. Imagine that if I start talking like this, or maybe not like that, because that almost sounds almost 80s, 90s. Like Videodrome, if you remember that movie going way back. Yeah, I guess the AI version would be just me stiff, but talking like this. And here we are without any emotion, but speaking what it is that I speak when it comes to the toy department of life called sports. Yes, I got glasses and no headphones. I know. And the thing is, I'm going to need the glasses at times. But, yeah, you would think that the headphones so I can make sure max headroom. Yes, that too. I remember that from the old Cinemax days. So you got to be of a certain age to remember that. Yeah, it was AI. It was AI before AI and before Allen Iverson, for that matter, because that, to me, that is the true AI. All right, guys, let's see. What do we have here? Of course, share your thoughts. Everybody's sharing their thoughts, feelings, etc. Continue to do that. It's always a positive when we have a very active chat room. And for those who are watching on the replay, leave a comment, and I'll be more than happy to follow up with you guys. And listen, get ready for this. I know I posted this last week. I want to post it one more time. And for those, if this is your first time, the unfamiliar names that I see, I appreciate you. But look at this. I'm approaching 1,000 subscribers. I am actually now less than 2 hands away. I woke up this morning, I looked, and I said, let's see where we're at. And I said, whoa, 991? 9 away from 1,000. Now, that doesn't automatically mean that I can start monetizing. I got to get to the 4,000 hour mark, but I figured 1,000 subscribers is a lot more attainable and reachable than the 4,000 watch hours. Because once I get the 4,000 watch hours on top of the 1,000 subscribers, then that's it. I can start monetizing, which would obviously be a plus, would be a boon. So for those who have not subscribed, please do so. This is sports content at its finest. You're not going to get any fluff. You're not going to get any of the clickbait, the rage bait, the stupid titles, the good old bait and switch that, oh my God, the world is falling. But it's like, no, I wanted you to come on here because I'm just going to talk about whatever. We talk about this ring light. No, we're not doing that here. This is passionate, true, real sports talk from the heart, made by a sports fan, lifelong sports fan, 56 years and counting for you guys and gals and sports fans. So you got to remember that. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. As I get to 1,000, I thank you for those who have recently subscribed, especially dating back to November 1st, because I've done a log. And I believe on November 1st, I had 788 subscribers. And just to think, in right at a month and a half, in the last 6 weeks, I've gotten over 200. So I understand. You could say, well, Jay Reels, that's what happens when you pump out content on a daily basis. But it's a testament to those who are watching. It's a testament to those who are subscribing. And the little engine that could keeps on going. So I don't want to stop at 1,000. I want to get beyond that, past that, go to 2,000, 5, 10, 50, 100,000, maybe even, God willing, 1 million. But as long as I'm alive and breathing, I can promise you this. I'll continue to put up live streams. I'll continue to put up my podcast every Monday and Thursday, my podcast pre-games, which just on that alone on Monday, I gained 13 subscribers. And that's a record. I never got that many subscribers in that, what was it, a little bit over an hour or somewhere around there. Even when I ran up Broadway 2 weeks ago, as I talked about, that day, I believe I got 11 subscribers. So listen, keep it coming, people. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the love. And like I said, as long as I'm alive and breathing, I'm going to continue to pump out content no matter which way, shape, or form. And I got a few others. In fact, I'm editing one vlog, which I'm going to post Sunday. But I got to finish that because I have another vlog that I want to post tomorrow, which is on an anniversary of the biggest Steeler loss that I've ever watched. And yeah, so I got to get cracking on that, and I'm going to do that after this live stream. Cheers, just H2O today. No juice, no other beverage. But yeah, so that's what I got. So let's get right to it. Let me see the comments before I get to the topics of the day and what is happening here. Let's see, Nike. 62 years here, yes. And looking strong, Nike, looking good. I got to admit. Will Smith returning. Yeah, he's been out, right? Val, I know he's been out for some time. Yes, Nike, thanks to you and your support. You know it. Kyle, who's the new Steelers head coach? I'm going to get to that. I promise you. Hang on there for 5 minutes, Kyle. You know I got you. And we're going to talk Kyle Tucker as well. Yes, you do, Val. You're ultra supportive. You know how much I appreciate you. Of course, they're in Northern California. Great luck. Not even good, great. I appreciate it, Nike. Absolutely. Of course, Val, always with the wave. Ryan Day's the next Steelers head coach. I do not want him, that's for sure. I will say that. I got to see what this emoji is. Is that a laugh emoji? Yes, it is. All right. And I was watching shorts of coming in. Thank you so much, Val. You know that. I appreciate it. Chris Shula. He could be a guy that I would not be surprised. Most heartbreaking sports event I've ever attended. That's a good one. Oh, Harbaugh? No, God, not John. I do not want him. But I hear you. Who knows? And I know the owner had said that. The owner of the Ravens said that, well, I'll hire Mike Tomlin if John Harbaugh goes to Pittsburgh. That would be crazy. I wouldn't like it, but that would be crazy. And to go back to J-Rod, the most heartbreaking sports event I've ever attended. I gotta think about that. Let me see. Yeah, I went to one Met playoff game, which they won. That was an 06 game one. I also went to when they clinched the division in 88, not 98, the Mets. What game did I attend that I walked out of the building? I was dejected. I guess the one that comes to mind, and the stakes weren't that high. It wasn't even heartbreaking, but true story. June 5th, 1999. And I actually have it on one of my vlogs when I talked about the old Yankee Stadium. I went in there with a very good friend of mine, lifelong Yankee fan. Saturday afternoon, Mets Yankees at the old Yankee Stadium. And the Mets were up 3-0. They ended up losing 6-3. And the only thing I had on was a Met hat. I'm smart. I'm not going in there all blue and orange, but I had a Met hat on and walking out of the stadium, and people were saying, go back to Queens, Mets suck, blah, 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 this, that. Thankfully, it didn't get personal. And I said to myself, that is the last time I'm ever going to step foot in that stadium. Now, mind you, 9 years afterwards, it got knocked down, almost 10 years, because, the new stadium opened up in 2009. But I said, I'm never stepping foot in that snake pit. Never. And I went back and recorded a vlog on those hallowed grounds. I guess that's the closest. If anything comes close, I will definitely let you know. But off the top of my head, I know it's a weak one there, Jay, but that's what it is. Yeah, he's been out for a while. He's been acting, doing some practices. That's good. No, he's a very good player, as we know. Oh, it's upper body injury. Yeah, I wasn't aware. Michigan State. 2015 or the 2016 game. Now, the 2015 game, what was the one with the block punt return for a touchdown? Wasn't that later in the decade? I want to say, what was that, 2018, 19? Somewhere around there. All right, so let's get right to it. We're going to start here. So Mike Tomlin steps down as coach of Steelers. Now, everybody knows I'm a big Steeler fan. And did it come as a surprise? Absolutely not. The report, Tomlin went to the front office yesterday around 2 p.m. Or he actually addressed the players, I guess, at 2 p.m. Prior to that, he probably showed up to speak to the Rooneys and the GM, Omar Khan, and he's stepping down. And I got news for you. It was, listen, was I shedding a tear? No, but it was sad because this guy coached for almost 2 decades. And listen, we knew that, I don't want to say he was on a hot seat, but we knew that there were going to be a lot of rumblings. And with all that had transpired here, especially over the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, really dating back to them losing that Buffalo game right after Thanksgiving. And I ranted and raved on a short where fans were like, oh, that's it for Mike Tomlin. I'm sick. I'm this and that. And I said, all right, who are you going to replace him with? So on and so forth. Yes, maybe it is time, whatever. And I had actually started to warm up to the resignation of him leaving because he was still owed 2 years left on his contract. The Rooneys do not fire coaches. And right, he was going into next season as a lame duck where the option was a team option in 2027. So unless they went to the playoffs next year and had a run, not just get to the playoffs and lose in the first round, to have a run in them and go far, yeah, I didn't think he was going to come back. And even I know Val on Monday night had asked, he goes, oh, what do you think is going to happen? And I said, I don't know. I said, I don't think they were going to fire him, but it's possible that he could say, you know what, that's it, I'm going to resign. And as it was, that's what he did. So kudos to him. And now we're going to look to see who the next coach is. So if you ask me who that is, and I talked about it yesterday on my short on the channel here, but there, obviously we know who the cast of characters are. I think the one guy that I want, and I understand Chris Shula, that was a good choice there. I believe, Cal, is that what you said about Chris Shula? Let me just go back and check. Hey, Matt Noah, what's happening? Welcome aboard. I appreciate you. Now, yeah, I'm just scrolling. Oh, Cal, yeah, he did predict Chris Shula. I can see that. Wait, let me find out how old Chris Shula is. Let's get that, because if you've read the tea leaves, he's 39. Yeah, it's young enough. The Steelers are going to go after defensive coordinators who are young. And when you look at Chuck Noll, I don't know how old he was when he got the job in Pittsburgh in 69, but he was young. Obviously, he was there 23 years. And in fact, I think he was 61 when he retired. So if you do the math, he was what, 38? Excuse me, Bill Cowher, I believe, was 34 when he got hired. And Tomlin was also 34 when he got hired. So they're going to go for a young defensive assistant. And even though he is not young, Chris Shula is not young in the sense where he's in his 30s. But the one guy that I think that the Steelers may, and I would actually like as quarterback, despite the fact his first go around in the league when he coached the Dolphins didn't work out well, especially the situation with Tua. But I would sign Brian Flores. I think he's a guy. Now, he's going to have to be a little bit more un-Belichickian, or un-Belichickian, I should say, because I know that when he was in Miami, with him being under the tutelage of Belichick, that you can't be just super, ultra, mega vanilla when it comes to dealing with the press. And listen, Pittsburgh is in New York. It is in L.A., Philadelphia, et cetera. I get it. But that is a football town. And I'm sure that when things start going haywire, or like we've seen here just in the last couple of years, as far as the fans wanting Tomlin out and the media probing and asking those questions on whether or not, oh, do you hear from the fans? Oh, how do you feel about this? Or whatever it may be. Brian Flores is going to have to open up a little bit. I'm not trying to say he has to spill the beans, but he's going to be a guy that not only is he going to need to be accessible, but he's going to have to also just not be, oh, they made more plays than we did. Or, oh, and I understand with Tomlin, that got tiresome toward the end too. Oh, the components of our team, and it was an unapologetic effort. You know, the same old Tomlinisms that you've heard here over the last almost 20 years. But I think Brian Flores would probably be that guy. And I know you have a guy, Jesse Minter, out in L.A. with the Chargers under Jim Harbaugh, but because Jesse Minter's dad and Mike Tomlin's dad are close, now people could say, well, what does that have to do with Minter not getting the job? Well, I don't know if you want to have a guy who's close to Tomlin, at least his dad are, or his Minter's dad and Tomlin are, to then be the guy that's going to come in there and fill in those shoes to, and listen, they're going to be patient. Even if they brought in a guy like Minter, they're not just going to expect him to make the playoffs his first few years or what have you, and depending on how the team's going to be constructed. But I don't know if Minter is going to be that guy. Flores is a guy who's been around the league, obviously in New England, was the head coach there in Miami for, a year and a half or 2 years, I believe he made it, then sued the NFL, as we all know. And I don't know if Chris Shula is going to be that guy. And they're going to go defensive-minded. I mean, look at this team defensively. They're old. They have not shown anything close to what we've seen as far as the Steeler defense is concerned, dating back to the days of the Steel Curtain in the 70s, or Blitzburg in the 90s, or even in the mid-2000s there with James Harrison and Troy Polamalu, et cetera. But, yeah, I would think they're going to bring in a defensive guy because, let's face it, even if they brought in an offensive coach, whomever that may be, let's just say Mike McCarthy, and McCarthy's a guy who's from Pittsburgh, knows the area very well, but he's what, in his early 60s? I don't know if that's going to be a good landing spot for him, considering A, who's the quarterback, B, what is the personnel that's going to be around them as far as, we know Pat Frymuth is signed and DK Metcalf, but other than that, all right, Jalen Warren, he signed to a 2-year deal, so he's going to be part of the backfield. Is Kenneth Gainwell going to come back? Remember, he only signed a 1-year deal. Jonnu Smith, I mean, Jonnu Smith was not really a part of this or much of this offense this year, considering the year before in Miami, he had career highs in catches and yards and maybe touchdowns too, but he wasn't a big factor. Pat Frymuth voiced his displeasure about not being part of the offense a lot more, and he's a very good tight end. I like him. I think he's very good. But for whatever the reason, he got phased out there late, and I understand had a million tight ends on the team. You want to even say Connor Haywood. I know he's more of a fullback, but he's a hybrid guy. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if an offensive guy is going to want to come in here not knowing who the quarterback's going to be. And without getting deep into the personnel, I think the next coach that I would like, to my liking, was going to be Brian Flores. Because he was a Steeler assistant a few years ago, and he left for Minnesota. Now, I don't know if that was a thing where if the Steelers would welcome him back to be a part of not only just the organization as the lead man, considering a little bit of the baggage outside of the field, him trying to sue the NFL, and also that situation with Tua. If the Steelers bring in a young quarterback, is there going to be any conflict? Is there going to be a rift? Anything like that? So I don't know if the Steeler front office may not be enamored with that thought. And him, you would think he'd learn his lesson, that wouldn't be the case the second go around. I mean, who knows? But Flores is going to be the guy that I'm going to look at as one that, if I had to choose, if I'm the GM, he's the guy. Now, again, is there another hot assistant out there? You want to even say Matt Burke, the Texans defense coordinator? Now, he's 49. But considering how they dismantled the Steeler offense there Monday night, and to me, that game was more of an indictment on the Steeler offense, more so than the Texan defense. And the Texan defense was outstanding. I mean, you can't knock what they did and how they literally just shut the Steelers down. But it'll be interesting to see how they perform this week in Foxborough, which I'm going to be certainly with bated breath to see how they're going to perform against. And listen, not that New England is a juggernaut by any means. It's not as if they have Randy Moss, Wes Welker, etc. And Tom Brady, of course, at quarterback. But again, we'll see how that plays out. But that would be my coach. That would be the guy that I would sign on the dotted line. And let's see what you guys and gals have to say about that. Let's see. Val, J-Rod. All right. Bave lines. Why would he stay when the fans don't want him? Well, it's not a matter of what the fans. I mean, the fans may not want him, but it's about the organization wanting him. I'm sure you've heard the old saying, and I understand he's been there a long time, and it was time for Tomlin to go. I mean, that's all there is to it. It wasn't a situation where, they should have kept him for one more year. No. Time has come, and Tomlin, I think, did the right thing. But if the fans don't want him, what do the fans have anything to do with it? It's the front office that has to decide on whether or not Tomlin is either going to stay or go. And in this case, Tomlin, upon his own volition, said, that's it, I'm out of here. But you know the old saying, if the front office is going to listen to the fans, then pretty soon they're going to be sitting with them. Because, yes, I understand the Legion of fans may not want Tomlin there, and they may be right on that. And I was on the fence. I was never one, I want Tomlin out of here. I was never that guy. If you've watched all my shorts, go back to almost 2 months ago when I talked about that or pretty much during the Bill game, because I was just so sick and frustrated at how that game went. But the thing is, you have to understand that I understand that the fans want him out, but the fans don't make the decisions on who the head coach is. So Rodgers got him fired. No, I'm not going to say that. I mean, listen, you could joke about that and feel that could be the case, but I wouldn't say that. Nike. 2016 Ohio State game. This is it. The most excruciating game he's ever seen. J-Rob. Michigan stopped Ohio State on 4th down in overtime and the refs gave him the first down. Oh, is that right? I don't remember that game, 2016. I have to go back. But yeah, I definitely take your word for it. And obviously you were in the building for that. So witnessing that, I'm sure, was rough. Or was that game in Ohio State? No, maybe that game was at Michigan. Wait, hold on. That's an odd number year, 16. And they play. Now I got to think, did they play in Columbus that year? And if you did, I'm curious. What made you go? Now, it had to be at Michigan, I would think. No, that was John Harbaugh we're talking about, Matt. John. Here we go. Bio. I went to Vegas a couple of years ago to watch number 1 Gonzaga, number 2 UCLA. Gonzaga won by 20 and left the game about 5 minutes to play. Oh, yeah, that sucks. That's rough. Look at that. Gonzaga, yeah, number 1, number 2. I remember that. Was that the year that UCLA went to the Final Four? And then they lost to Gonzaga in that, whatchamacallit? In that Final Four game. The bank shot, I hate to bring up bad memories there, Bio, but the bank shot, Jalen Suggs, wasn't it that game? I got my games mixed up. Hold on. Let me see. UCLA. And what year was that? Wasn't that 20? That was during the pandemic, wasn't it? 1993. Hold on. Yeah, it was 21. So, yeah, it was right after. Let me just double check. No, I don't want that. Hold on. Yeah, Jalen Suggs. Didn't he hit the final shot? Was it that game? But I'm thinking I'm going back to another game. No, I don't have the. They don't have it here. All right. I digress. Hold on. Yeah, because that was a shot. No, he didn't win it in overtime, did he? Hold on. Yeah, it was in overtime. All right, I digress. I'm over here like researching stuff here, going back. But yeah, as far as that game goes, that was one of the great games. And yeah, that was at the buzz. I know. Sorry, I kept doing research on it. Obviously, it wasn't that game. That game was not in Vegas. That Final Four that year, I forgot where it was. And then Gonzaga lost to Baylor in the final. So, but yeah, no, that's a tough one there, Bio. I hear you. All right, Cal, let's see what you got. Most American sports event ever attended. 96 U.S. Open men's final. Sampras Chang. Chang lost. Oh, wow. Is that right? Yeah, that's a rough one. And Michael Chang was good. He had his day in the sun. But, yeah, Sampras was dominant then. I mean, there's anything you do about what Sampras did during that time. Antonio Pierce, Steelers coach. I'd say no Nike. I know the Raiders, it didn't really work out that well. Yeah, I wouldn't choose him as coach. And listen, he was on the Raiders staff. That's why he got the job there after McDaniels left, or after they fired McDaniels. So, and Kyle was an awesome coach. He did have his moments, though, in the AFC Championship games. But, yeah, I mean, he definitely was 100%. Psychiatrist, I go today. I got to leave appointment 10 a.m. Just letting you know. That's all right, Val. I appreciate you stopping by even for a few minutes. Thank you. Hope Steelers get a good coach. I hope so, too. Fingers crossed. Matt, I always feel like if you're going to draft a QB, you should get an offensive coach. The coach gets to have a say in the guy he wants. Well, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, the Steelers aren't going to be in a position to draft a quarterback, or at least one that high. Listen, they tried with Kenny Pickett a few years ago, and how did that work? Obviously, it did not. So, yeah, I think the Steelers are going to have to get a stopgap guy. Mason Rudolph is not the answer, and I know they brought him back just as a backup. But I don't know. Does that mean Kirk Cousins? Ugh. And listen, Cousins is capable, but Cousins scares me. In big spots, huge spots, no. I do not want him. But if they go that route, what are you going to do? Here's my thing real quick with the Steelers. I don't think they should blow it up, but they're going to have to knock it down piece by piece. The offensive line is young, except for Isaac Seumalo, but Broderick Jones, first-round pick, he's young. I know he didn't play those last few games. Zach Frazier, center, young. Mason McCormick, young. I like Dylan Cook, the guy who replaced Broderick Jones. He actually did a very good job in the final few weeks of the season. So that's a guy, is a keeper. I would definitely hold on to him. Troy Fatanu was the number one pick 2 years ago in 2024. He played one game in that year, and then this year, yeah, he had some problems there in the game against the Texans. But then again, Daniil Hunter and company. The offensive line is young. Freiermuth is young. Calvin Austin is young. Calvin Austin, to me, is more like a slot guy. He's not a number two. Of course, DK. So, yeah, they have pieces on offense. The defense is long in the tooth. And I get it. You got Derek Harmon, who they just drafted. And, Cameron Hayward, listen, he's 36 years old. TJ Watt, you kind of wonder if he's definitely starting. He's at the top looking down on the other side of the mountain, let's face it. You also have Jalen Ramsey, who, let's face it, he's a hired gun. Had a very good season, though. Hired gun, but I think he has one more year on his contract, which they can't cut him. I guess they can, but so he stays for one more year. After that, he's done. So, yeah, they're going to have to rebuild this sucker. And I understand what Omar Khan did in this past offseason. They went for it. They figured, you know what? Rodgers, he kind of fell in their lap because there was no other team that was going to sign him. So he went to Pittsburgh. They traded for DK Metcalf and signed him to a long-term deal. They traded Minka for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. So you got to give it up. I mean, they tried, but it's not sustainable. They're going to have to build through the draft and, yeah, get the free agents here and there in order for them to get those final pieces of the puzzle. And I'd rather them do it that way than to just be mediocre or slightly above average and then be one and done in the postseason. That's it. I'll suffer through that. I mean, why not? Because what they've done here in recent memory has not worked out. So therefore, I'm all for them just maybe not blowing it up, but like I said, taking it down brick by brick. You have your foundation and rebuild from there. Val on X social media just saw George Kittle. Oh, all right, look at that. I know Val's on top of that. What do the Steelers do for quarterback? Here I was just talking about that, J-Rod. So I know I could say you're 10 steps ahead of me, but in catching up, yeah, it's going to have to be a stopgap guy. It's going to have to be the Kirk Cousins of the world. Who else? Let me think of another guy. If I go through the teams, hold on. Let's pull that up. All right. Forget about Tua. I don't want him. The Mac Jones of the world. I don't know how long he signed in San Francisco, but no thanks. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Houston, Indy. Yeah, I wouldn't take a chance on Anthony Richardson. I wouldn't do that. I know it's Malik Willis. He's going to be a free agent. I mean, that's a guy maybe, but a guy only has a handful of snaps. Now, he has ability. I'll give him that, but am I going to push all the chips to the middle of the table for Malik Willis, who's, let's face it, he's unproven? Broncos, Chiefs, Gardner Minshew, which is ACL. Chargers, Cowboys, Giants, Eagles. I don't want, well, Daniel Jones has an Achilles also. I don't want him. Yeah, there really isn't anybody else out there. There is not. Falcons, we already talked about. Cousins. Kyler Murray? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go Kyler Murray. I'm sorry. Yeah, that is it. Yeah, Kyler Murray's a guy that has ability, but he's short. You're not going to win with a 5'10" quarterback. I know Drew Brees was 6 foot and he had to tiptoe over his lineman to throw the ball over. I don't know. I hate to say it, it's going to be Cousins. Unless you want to say Will Howard is the guy, the 6th round pick from last year. I don't know. Listen, let him get a ton of reps, but it remains to be seen. Michigan football, 18th ranked transfer. Can't lie, didn't see that. Oh, wow. Is that right? 18th ranked? That's good. Will Anderson, yeah, absolutely. Alabama, guy's a beast. 100% Matt, you need a new voice. And the time has come. Nike, I would gladly take Tomlin as Giants coach. Also, Harbaugh would be my two, besides Cowher. Now, the thing is with Tomlin, I don't think the Giants would go there because the families with the Rooneys and the Maras with the Giants, they go back a million years. And I don't know if the Giants would dip their toe in the water to bring in Tomlin. And I think as of right now, Tomlin said that he's not coaching in 2026. And also remember this, because he's still on the contract for the next 2 years, the team that wants to obtain Tomlin, they have to give up draft picks or a draft pick. Because remember, he stepped down, so the Steelers still have Tomlin's rights. So the only way, unless Tomlin's going to sit out for 2 years, and then once his contract expires, then at that point, he's fair game. So you got to keep that in mind too. Yes, Kittle on IR, we know. I blame the Steelers lost to DK Metcalf, then Rodgers, then Tomlin, DK Metcalf. Yeah, he had that one bad drop. Oh, yeah, and if you guys watched, you already know how, yeah, it was out there on the right flat. And it's funny because at first it looked like he caught it, but then I said, wait a minute. And then, yeah, Metcalf. And listen, we know he's got ability, he has otherworldly talent, but yeah, that was not his best game. I was always surprised Carver never took another job, I guess. Yeah. He was there 15 years. He left a year after the Super Bowl. He won that last game in Cincinnati. I'll never forget Santonio Holmes to the house as he caught it. Yep, J-Rod, you're right. I had a feeling it was in Columbus because the odd number years are in Michigan. Now, was that your last time there? I wonder. You probably said, I'm never going back to Columbus. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised too because you thought maybe Cowan needed a couple of years off, but he never came back. And good for him. So, and now he's in the Hall of Fame when you think about it. What made me go? Well, sir, well, no, what made you go to Columbus, though? That's enemy territory. No, you're right about that. I can see what you mean by it's a stupid question, but I guess that's like me going to Yankee Stadium, which I never went back to. And I've gone back to Met Yankee games in a new Yankee Stadium, but that does that different feel without question. So, trade TJ to the Lions. Yeah, but then you have to take $40 million, and the Steelers have to take on that dead cap. You also have Aiden Hutchinson. But you know what? Hey, if it was doable, why not? Hole in the sock sending some love. I appreciate that. A trade for Mac Jones. It's funny I just mentioned to him. And you get nothing back. I mean, you wouldn't trade him. What, a fourth-round pick, if that? Listen, now here's the thing. Mac Jones played in the games that he played this year with Brock Purdy was out. Who's his coach? Kyle Shanahan. The guy's a wizard offensively. And with the way his system is, it's built for Mac Jones to thrive in. Whomever the Steeler head coach is, and who knows who the offensive coordinator is going to be, is it still going to be Arthur Smith? Does Arthur Smith get promoted to coach? I mean, who knows? Terrell Lawson should be gone. No offense. I'm sorry. The defensive coordinator. But listen, if the guy has a system that's going to work for Mac Jones, then bring him in. But if it's not, forget it. Because only a guy like Kyle Shanahan would be successful with a guy like Mac Jones. Geno is free. Oh, geez. Geno Smith. Yeah, I can't. Oh, no. I mean, as much as I'd want, so I'm looking at this here. As much as I'd want a quarterback that has ability, and Geno Smith has had success, but he's been in the league a long time. So you would think, but no. Cal, here we go. Mets considering spending $150 million. Which option would you rather have? 3, Kyle Tucker, or 5? Yeah, I'd have to go with the latter. I mean, Kyle Tucker, 3 years, $150 million. I mean, and Kyle Tucker's a good player. Not really the power guy that a lot of people think he is. I mean, he has power, he hits home runs, but he's not a slugger. He's not a guy that in his sleep he's going to hit 35 home runs. But, yeah, I would go with – now, you have to take Nimmo out of the equation for this reason only, Kyle, is that he was traded. If he was a free agent, I could see that. But I understand your point. Yeah, I would have gone to 5 for Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo. I mean, I like Tucker as a player. I don't love him. And not only that, but what are you going to do? You're going to bring in Tucker, play him in right field, and then move Soto to the left? And how happy will Soto be? And I understand people are going to be like, oh, I don't care, blah, 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 about Soto. Who cares about his feelings? Well, hey, T-Cog. Yeah, exactly. He's not going to – he's talking about Tomlin, of course. T-Cog, welcome. I appreciate you stopping by. I'm a huge Steeler fan, diehard, 50-some-odd years. But, yeah, he's not gonna coach next year for sure. And who knows what's going to happen there in 2027. But who knows? If somebody gives him a Godfather offer, could you imagine if Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, says, Mike, I want to make you the highest paid coach in football. I'll give you 5 years. 5 years, could you imagine? $75 million? I mean, how do you pass that up? But I hear you, T-Cog. Victor, welcome back. Let's go, Brownies. Came by to give you a like, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you, Victor. I know it's Brownies. Talk about a team that needs an overhaul. Haven't missed Ohio State games since 93. Excellent job on your part, for sure. That's now 33 years. Excellent. Rooney said nobody on the staff is interested in the job. Oh, is that right? So no Arthur Smith, forget about Terrell Austin, etc. And listen, I wouldn't hire Arthur Smith. And I don't even know if he should come back as the offensive coordinator. Listen, I like Arthur Smith, and I understand they don't have the weapons to stretch the field. I know DK can, but with Rodgers there to try to get the ball out of his hands, yeah, I don't know. Let me ask you, T-Cock, who do you want as coach? I'm curious. I gave my answer early. I don't know if you were here for that. I said Brian Flores. Ever since I was 9. Look at that. It's a 93, right? Because then, you see before. Wow, 9 years old. I hear you, Nike. I'm with you on that. I don't care if it's $50 million and he has an opt-out after next year. No bueno. Oh, look at that. Adam Thielen announced his retirement. Saw this on X. And, of course, Thielen was on the Steelers, as you know, toward the end of the season. Played those last few games in Pittsburgh. And you want McCarthy. Listen, that's not a bad choice, but my thing is that Steelers are going to go for the younger guy. Steelers are going to go more defensive-minded. I think he'd be the safe pick, and I think he's a guy that now he needs a quarterback because if he doesn't have the quarterback, he's not going to be successful. And I don't hate that choice, but in my gut of guts, are the Steelers going to go that route? I don't think so. I do not. Val, why hasn't Rodgers announced his retirement? Well, I guess he's not ready, and he's probably going to do it on his terms when the sports news cycle is quiet, and he's probably going to do it after the Super Bowl. I've had to take a guess. And I would think, listen, if he comes back, he's not going to come back to Pittsburgh. But, yeah, I mean, what other team out there is going to want him? I mean, even if they're desperate. Maybe if they're desperate, a la the Colts with Phillip Rivers and how that unfolded. But other than that, I can't see it. Yeah. Hey, look at this from Twitch. Stream Boo. All right. Let's get to the next topic. Divisional weekend. Storylines. To me, these are the storylines that I'm looking at this weekend. Now you have the 1 seeds coming in, Seattle, Denver. Which one of those two could get picked off this weekend? Now, it's interesting because when you look at Seattle, and both of the teams will play on Saturday, by the way. Seattle, 2 weeks ago, the final game of the regular season, they were in San Francisco. Sorry, Val, cover your ears. They were in San Francisco, and they mauled the Niners in that game. Not only did they win the NFC West, obviously got the 1 seed in the conference, and then after a week off, and bodies have been maybe not 100%, but bodies have been rested, and they are pumped up, ready to go, recovery, etc. Who do they face in the divisional round? The Niners. And I understand the Niners are banged up defensively, offensively, it doesn't matter. But I'm sure that's the last team they wanted to play because I'm sure there's a part of them that thought that maybe they were going to play the Rams. But with the Niners winning in Philadelphia, it's like, oh, geez, we got to play these guys again. And I understand the game's in their building, but that could be tricky. I would think Seattle has a better chance to win their game at home as a 1 seed than Denver does because we know Buffalo's coming in to the Mile High City, and that's the other top storyline because Denver, are they going to be the team that beats Buffalo, moves on to a championship game, or are they going to be a one and done with a young quarterback who will now have his first playoff game in his building, and that's going to be a raucous crowd. We know it's going to be wild there in Denver, but I look at those, the 2 1 seeds coming in as the storyline as to them surviving this upcoming round. Because remember, those 2 teams are going up against 6 seeds, and that's not your conventional 6 seed. It's not like they're going up against the Carolina Panthers of the world or even to a lesser degree, the Green Bay Packers. And I understand the Packers, reputable, they're good, but obviously they fell flat on their face there toward the end. And then same in the AFC. It's not as if they're playing the Broncos, that is. It's not as if they're playing, let's say, the Steelers as a 6 seed or I mean, you name the team. I won't say Chiefs because that's a divisional rival. Let's say if the Dolphins were a 6 seed, something like that, where they really have not just a slight, but a solid advantage over their opponent. Not in this case for both the Niners and the Broncos. So that's where I'm going to be fascinated to see storylines number, I guess, 1 and 1A. The other storyline is, I think, how that Texan defense is going to carry from Pittsburgh to New England. Because, as I said before, one last time, that game Monday night was more of an indictment on how bad the Steelers offense than it was how good the Texan defense was. And the Texas defense was exceptional. They were excellent, etc. But now they're going to go up against a better offense, a healthier offense, and a quarterback that could also run, and how that is going to play into whether or not the Texans advance for the first time in their franchise's history to an AFC Championship game, or does the roadblock for God knows how many times that they've been in this position where they win their one playoff game. This time it was on the road, not at home, and then they go on the road in the divisional round, and that's when the plug is pulled. So I look at that storyline fascinating in my eyes. The third storyline, we can talk about the Rams, even the Bears for that matter, with the Bear Magic with Caleb Williams. But besides that, I mean, those are the top three. Yeah, we can say the Bears. We can say Caleb. Can he do it again? The Rams, I think it's supposed to be super cold in Chicago. Let me pull up what the temperature is going to be, because I know the Northeast today is 48 degrees in New York, but then it's really going to start to get cold as we get into the weekend. And what does that have to do with Chicago? Well, not a whole hell of a lot, but it'll do enough in a sense where if the northern part of the country is going to be cold. Oh, yeah. Right now, it is 24 in Chicago. Feels like 1. Oh, yeah. Sunday, the high is going to be 18 degrees. So the wind chill is going to be minimum single digits and probably below 0. So bio, I don't know how you feel about that, but that is certainly going to be a situation where that advantage could help out the Bears more than the Rams. Could. Not saying it will, but. And I guess the other storyline, you could say Buffalo, only because could now they start this magic run through the AFC playoffs. Now, I say Denver first because it impacts, obviously, they're going to play Buffalo. But I know it's going to be tough to count Josh Allen out. And as I've said before, one last time, despite them being a 6 seed, we know that they're more of a 1, 2, or 3 seed when it comes to their record and when it comes to just their recent track record, etc. Now, they could lose this game. I mean, this isn't a slam dunk that the Buffalo Bills are going to go into Denver and win. But I'm sure if there was any opponent that the Broncos didn't want to see, at least in the first game after their bye, happens to be Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I mean, that's all there is to it. So, but that's what you have. I mean, I'm not looking at San Francisco as a big storyline. I mean, they're playing with house money, so they should be fine. I'm not looking at even the situation where New England, because if New England loses, to me, it's more about their opponent, Houston, and that defense going into Foxborough. Because if they go in there and let's say they beat the Patriots 20-10, they're going to say, oh, there goes that Texan defense again. So I'm not going to really look at New England as, at least right now, as, oh, if they lose this game, this will be a shocker. It wouldn't be a shock. I mean, Drake May in his second career playoff start against that pass rush and against those corners, I mean, who knows? So those, to me, those are the big storylines that I look at here when it comes to divisional weekend. Toppers. Who wins Warrior championships versus Bulls championship teams? I mean, listen, I'd have to say the Bulls. Now, we're talking about the back three. We're talking not the 91 to 93. We're talking 96 to 98. If you take 96 to 98, forget about it. It's Bulls hands down. And what would be fascinating about that, and not that they would be defending each other, but I made this comparison a million times, more of a poor man's or even homeless version of Draymond Green and Dennis Rodman. Now, people laugh at me when I say Rodman by far is the better player. And I said Rodman couldn't throw the ball in the ocean off a boat, which is true. Well, at least Draymond Green, more so in the mid-20 teens during those runs, he was able to make threes and he was able to be more of an offensive player. I mean, not that this man was averaging 20 a game. I think the most he's ever averaged in a game had to be maybe 13, 14 points tops. But Rodman, in his sleep, is a better rebounder than Draymond. And on top of that, you could argue that Rodman is a better defensive player. More defensive player of the years, more first team All-NBA defensive nods. Rebounding, forget about it. Draymond, in his wildest dream, couldn't even come close. Rodman won 7 rebounding titles. Not that that means a lot because who's counting rebounding titles? But when you're Dennis Rodman, you do, because the strength of his game was defense and rebounding. And you could even argue that he was probably the best offensive rebounder in the history of the sport. He and Moses Malone. And yeah, and I'm not even talking Kareem. I'm not even talking Wilt. I'm not even talking Bill Russell. I mean, guys like that. So I would say the Bulls, the 96 to 98 teams, and yeah, Scottie Pippen was one of the great wing defenders of all time. I mean, do I even need to bring up Michael Jordan? And I understand if you want to take the 2017 Warrior team with Steph, Clay, KD, and Draymond against MJ, Pippen, Rodman, Kukoc, I mean, it'd be a hell of a series. But I would even still take Jordan, because Jordan wouldn't let Durant and Steph win, because you'd have Pippen guarding. Well, I would think Pippen and Rodman would both guard Kevin Durant. And remember, the game was a lot physical then. It was hand checking back then. Where if you didn't have that today, all right, I get it. Yeah, I would say I'd still go with the Bulls. I don't know your thoughts, Toppers. Yeah, he says Bulls too. 100%. No, it's a good question. I like that. CJ Stroud didn't impress me very slightly. I know, yeah. Yeah, he was I was surprised too. Especially that pick that he had there deep in Steeler territory where he was avoiding the rush and he threw off balance. And yeah, that was terrible. I totally agree with you there, Cal. And the Steelers should have won. I don't know if they should have. If they would have capitalized on those opportunities, the pain. I know. Now, what are you going to do? I mean, that's how it is. That's how it goes. All right. Now, let me ask you this quick question here before I move on. What's the best game of the weekend? Is it Buffalo, Denver, San Francisco, Seattle, Houston, New England, or Rams in Chicago? If I had to guess, I think the best game of the weekend, just on paper, because we don't know how it's going to turn out, I'd have to say the first game. I think Buffalo, Denver. Houston, New England, it could be 16-13. I understand defensive struggle, but is that the best game? No, I can't say it is. Josh Allen going to Mile High. I'd have to say that one. San Francisco, Seattle, we've seen that movie before. Could still be a great game, but Rams, Chicago, the weather's going to be a factor. I think that's going to be an excellent game. I'm torn. Probably Buffalo, Denver, but you could pretty much throw the teams in a hat, pull it out, or the matchups in a hat, pull it out, and that's it. They'll also be pretty good, I think, but I'm going to go Buffalo, Denver. All right, here we go. This is for you, Cal. I know I'm skipping the college football. I'll get to that in a minute. You know what? Maybe I should get to. I'll get to this first. Then I'll get to the college football. So I already had what's it called? Let me just type this in here. The standby. But yeah, as far as the baseball goes, 4 weeks from today, where pitchers and catchers will report. I'm excited, even though my team, do I even need to go there? But when we take a look at this next question, or this next topic, I should say. Hang on. This thing is swimming around here. All right. Did I get it? I got it. This report came out yesterday, and I put this on a short. Check it out on the YouTube channel. I was shocked when I read that the Mets and the Blue Jays, I'm not so much a shock, and the Blue Jays have been wheeling and dealing. Although Bo Bichette, who knows where he's going. But I was shocked to see that the Mets were in discussions about bringing Kyle Tucker. And I understand 3 years, $150 million. I believe the Blue Jays offer is more. I would think more years and more money based on what I read. But why the Mets are doing this is beyond me. So let's just say if Tucker says, you know what, I'm going to sign with the Mets. And then I understand the Mets could still say, Kyle, you're going to play left field. Where throughout his whole career, he has not played left field. He's predominantly a right fielder. And Soto, when he first came into the big leagues, played left field until the latter part of his career in Washington and then obviously San Diego, Yankees, and Mets. So the guy who just got paid over 15 years, $765 million, now you're going to go to him if you're David Stearns to say you're moving to left field and Soto's going to be okay with that without having those discussions. And maybe they've had those discussions. I don't know that. But yeah, to me, that's a proceed with caution deal. And I get it. Less years, which is not as if you sign him long-term. You're like, oh, God, we got 8 more years with this guy. Now, I mean, look at the Soto contract. I mean, he just, year one, he still has 14 more years. And we know that contract was a terrible contract. We get that. But, yeah, I'm shocked. And I will say this. If the Mets sign Kyle Tucker, I'm going to have to swallow it like a 20-pound Tylenol. And it's no offense to Tucker. It's no offense to the Mets trying. But just like Cal said it a little while ago, if you're going to give him 3 years, and I understand even with Alonso, they probably wanted to give him 5 years tops, and they want to go 6 or 7, and granted, he got 5 in Baltimore. But what are we doing? Why don't you go out and try to get a pitcher? Ranger Suarez. I don't want Framber Valdez. And I don't think Ranger Suarez will cost that much. And as it is, here you are, as I said before, pitchers and catchers have to report in 4 weeks. It'd be a situation where I would say, Ranger, here's 3 years, $100 million, and you could opt out after next year. $33 million for a guy, let's face it, he has to hit his spots in order to be successful. He's not going to blow you away with 98, 99, 100. He's not Tyler Skubal. So similar to what the Mets did with Alonso, give him the 2-year, $54 million deal, $30 million for 2025, but have an opt-out. Do the same for Ranger Suarez. And if Suarez has a bad year, all right, you're going to have to eat that year and the year after that. But you're not giving him 5, 6, 7, 8 years, as if the Mets would probably, if they were to give a pitcher of that ilk, they would probably go 5 years, as they did with Yohan Santana and even Jacob deGrom. But, yeah, they need pitching. And I'm not trying to make Ranger Suarez out to be Sandy Koufax either, but you're really going to go into next season banking. All right, Nolan McLean, I understand. I get it. But Brandon Sproat and Jonah Tong, 3/5 of your rotation is going to be guys that literally have 2 handfuls of starting pitching experience. That is a tall ask. And they need another starter. I understand they're not going to trade for Skubal or break the bank or whatever. All right, fine. But you got to get me somebody else here, because this team cannot be just Dave Peterson, Kodai Senga, and I know I'm missing a couple others, but you can't have those 2 guys or Clay Holmes, and then these 3 guys are going to be the rest of your rotation. I guess you can do that, but that's a big ask. McLean, I believe, is 24 years old. Sprout, I think, is 23. Tong is 22. So McLean and I loved how he performed last year. Commanded the strike zone, multiple pitches, keeps hitters off balance. His fastball, not overpowering, but it's 95. And you like what you see. He looks like a wily veteran out there, whereas Sproat and Tong, they're still young and new to the game. And same for McLean, but McLean, I mean, did you watch him pitch last year? The guy looked like he'd been in the major leagues for like 6 years. So I understand it's a roll of the dice if you're the Met front office, but I wouldn't push all the chips to the middle of the table to have all three of those guys be in your rotation to start in 2026. I wouldn't. That's where I get it. Clay Holmes, Kodai, Dave Peterson, McLean, and who that fifth guy is going to be. And not that he'd be a fifth starter, but yeah, if you bring in Suarez right now, that guy could be your slot him in at 2, maybe even 3 tops. And who knows who your opening day pitcher is right now. If it was me, I'd have to say Nolan McLean, but I'm sure they're going to go with either Clay Holmes again or maybe Kodai Senga. I don't know. But yeah, that's how I look at the situation there with the Mets. Let's see. Shroud. Going back to the comments here. 97 wins to play national championship with Michigan, Nebraska. Probably Michigan. I mean, Nebraska had won 3 straight at that time. And to go 4 straight, that would have been a lot. Tommy Frazier, Lawrence Phillips. That team was really good. But I would say, and I'm not saying that to appease you, Jay, but I would probably say Michigan. I would say them. 4 in a row, and Nebraska won 3 in a row at that time. Did they not? Reggie Long, what is happening? I think the Rams are going to walk all over the Bears. Let me think about that for a second. Walk all over. So you think that the Rams will go in there and win, let's say, 28-13? Because that's a walkover. Not a situation where the game is tied at 10.5, and then let's say it's 14-10 going into the fourth quarter, and then the Bears score early in the fourth to make it 17-14, and then turnovers, field position, etc. The Rams score 21 points the rest of the way, and they win 35-17. When I hear walkover, I'm thinking that from start to finish, they had a game in control, in hand, and they dominated. I don't know if I'd see that, or I could say that. Yeah, that's a tough game to call. It really is. But because of the weather and the Bears, I think it's going to be close. I think the Rams are going to win, though. I think they are. They didn't play a good game the other day. I mean, they started out flying out of the gate against Carolina, but Carolina came back. Then they hung on for dear life. They got the touchdown at the end of the game. So, yeah, I would say the Rams will win. Walkover, I don't know. It's a bit strong. And Reggie, Panthers rolled the Packers this year. They should have crushed the Bears. I know, and they beat them in Green Bay, too. Panthers rolled the Packers. They should have. I don't know if they would have beaten the Bears. Obviously, we'll never know. But listen, that was a great performance there. And a gut check by the Rams in Carolina. Panthers, yeah, and that's the last comment. Oh, no, there's other comments here. I was like, wait a second. Wait. Hold on a second. Was that the last comment? All right, hold on. This thing is slow. All right, Cal. Players don't want is extremely team-friendly, short-term contracts that meant should give content 300. I don't think, and I know why the Mets are doing this short-term contract deal is because I bet, think about this, I bet they can't defer any of that money. They figure that, you know what, here's short-term, we'll pay you all up front. I mean, not that he's going to get all of his money up front, but you know what I mean, as 3 years. Yeah, it's interesting. Players don't want team-friendly contracts. Yeah, they want to get paid, as if $50 million isn't enough to live on. But I digress. All I know is that if I was a baseball player, and I know it's easy for me to say, I've never been played on a Major League Baseball diamond, etc. And with the way the rules are, you want to get the 10, 12, 15-year contract, depending on how young you are. But I would have to say that there are players that do not want that. They want to just get the big contract and that's it. But here's the thing. Deeper you go into this offseason and the closer you get to spring training, then the teams aren't going to have a choice. But I understand Kyle Tucker is a name. He's a guy that's going to get paid. He's going to get the years, etc. So he doesn't really have to worry or have to think like, oh, I need a one-year contract because I want to play this year, show my worth, etc. But yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know if I'd give Kyle Tucker that, even whether it's 3 years at 150 or 10 years at 300, I wouldn't do it. Fishing Angel, good afternoon. Good to see you. Is the Mets offseason stay with the Kyle Tuckers? It probably is. I mean, when you think about it, because Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, chilly. Jorge Polanco, okay. And what's the other signing that they had? They had one more. I'm drawing blanks right now. Cal, somebody help me out here. I know they just signed Polanco. I'm missing somebody. It'll come to me. But would it be safe to answer your question? Yes, but is that a thing where yeah, I mean, I'm not going to look at that as something to be overly proud about. Like, oh, we got Kyle Tucker. Hey, nah. I mean, yeah, I guess there's certain Met fans that would feel that they won the offseason or that they did enough. Yeah, I don't know if that would. Not in my eyes. Now, if they traded for Paul Skeens, I mean, let's go. And that's not going to happen. But that's what I mean. Like Kyle Tucker, and I guess I'm underestimating him. I know he's good. Yes, Fishing Angel, they sure did. What is this with Miles Straw? Oh, really? Oh, wow. Now, I know the Blue Jays, and that's crazy. I would have re-signed Bo Bichette. Their outfield, I like that kid, that Addison Barger. I thought he was very good. And he plays right field. Yeah, I listen, I understand. It's not as if they have a killer outfield. It's not as if they have Devon White and Joe Carter. And I understand, but yeah, I keep Bo Bichette. And I understand they just signed a Japanese with the third baseman. And look at that. So who knows? Is he a Blue Jay? We shall see. Rams will be the coldest game in NFL because of the wind chill. Well, yeah, I noticed that it said, 18 degrees? The low could be 11? Yeah, it could be. Now, remember, that game 2 years ago when Miami was at Kansas City, that was the fourth coldest game. I believe the temperature then that night at game time was -4. You have that game. You have the Ice Bowl game, the Freezer Bowl, and I believe that giant Packer game in 2008 in the NFC Championship game. That was the game where Favre threw the interception there in overtime when the Giants went on to beat the Patriots that year. Toppers. Bills, Pats, Seahawks, Bears win. So that means you'll have the 1 and the 2 in the NFC, and the AFC is the 2 and the 6. Wait, I get that right? Hold on a second. Yeah, 2 and the 6 in the AFC. Yeah, because when I look at Buffalo, I was like, wait a minute, they're not a 6 seed, but yeah, they are. Pats, Bills would be interesting. Seahawks, Bears. That means Chicago have to go to Seattle. Yeah, it's the crazy thing is it's wide open. Stafford in the cold, I can't get behind it. Funny thing is, he's played in cold weather games. Played in Green Bay, played in Chicago. It shouldn't bother him. I understand he hasn't played there in a million years. Adrian Kennedy, welcome. 5-0 against the spread last weekend. I made nice cash here in Vegas. 9 to 7.5. That's a good, let me see, 7.5. That is a good play, but knowing that the Rams did not play well in the middle part of the game and had to pull it out. I'm thinking. Now, I know you're talking about Niners. So I was just thinking Rams. I don't even know what their spread is, but Niners 7.5 Seattle. I would probably take that. I think that's going to be a close game. Now, I can see Seattle blowing their doors off open early, but if I'm San Francisco, I want the ball first. I want to go down the field, try to punch it in the end zone, 7-0, and then really give them something to look at. Vegas books own the NFL. Oh, yeah. I mean, 100%. Yeah, Devin Williams, Jorge Polanco, Luke Weaver. Yeah, there's one other guy. Hang on. I'm going to have to look this up. You have to bear with me, guys. Who have... Yeah, I know. You can say Marcus Semien, but that was a trade. Hold on. Mets signed Christian Arroyo? What? Yeah, Mike Ballman. Yeah, so that's... Yeah, I don't see anything else. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not spending more time on this. Let me move it out. Move it along here, people. Oh, my God. Yeah, what was the guy's name? Dickie Lovelady? Oh, yeah. Only the Mets. I saw the Pats' opponents for next year, and it is tough. Well, they're going to have a first-place schedule. And off the top of my head, who are they playing? The NFC, let me think. Yeah, I got to have to go back over the years to see who they're going to play in the 2026 season. Well, they have a first-place schedule, so it's going to be tricky. And same for the Mets for that matter. Mets. Same for the Steelers. I'm just looking at Mets here. So, and yeah, they don't have a quarterback or coach right now. But, yeah, let's take a look at that, Toppers. What the hell? Opponents next year. Obviously, we know the AFC East. Where'd it go? All right. In 2020, the NFL agreed to, which had a 17th game. Yeah, we know. All right. Buffalo, Denver. No thanks. Green Bay, the Raiders. Miami, Minnesota, Jets. All right. So they're going to play the NFC North. So they go to Chicago and Detroit, New England. Go to Kansas City, to the Chargers, and they play the AFC West. And then because it's 8-9, they go on the road for the 9th game next year. They play at Seattle. Yeah, and in Jacksonville. Yeah, listen, it doesn't, on paper, it looks very, very tough. Oh, and Pittsburgh goes to New England next year because of the first place schedule, and they flip-flop. All right, so that's what you got there. But yeah, no, it looks like a very tough schedule there, Toppers, 100%. So we shall see what's going to happen when the schedule comes out in May, when they play, etc. Now, let me get to another thing here before I start to land this plane. Where is it? They need to revamp this. I said this before on the podcast. I may have even said it here on the live stream. The championship game is Monday night in Miami, which is going to be fascinating. Hey, what? Will just disappear? But there we go. I know I didn't touch anything. Let's get out of here. I'm not going to preview the game. I'll talk more about that on Mondays on the podcast pregame. Yeah, what is happening? Why is this disappearing? It's having a mind of its own. Yeah, I don't want to hide it. Let me move the mouse outside of this. Hold on. Yeah, I just want to talk about the game, the time, the schedule. This thing has a mind of its own. Somebody else in this room? Let me see. If I put this up, pitchers and catchers. Look, and I'm not touching the mouse. Nothing's happening. And I left it on the graphic. Maybe I need to do that with the college football. All right, let's try it. Ready? Boom. I have my hands here, people. Looks like I'm going to go to surgery. Just wash my hands, put the plastic gloves, right? You see? I don't know how many seconds that was. Well, hold on. I think I may. Oh, I see what I did. I got it. Why is it under a timer? Can I edit that? Yes, thank you. I didn't put it on a timer. I don't know what the hell happened, but that's what I was wondering. All right, now I'll stay up. Rewind one more time. The game needs to be played before the NFL wildcard round. And then people are going to say, oh, Jay Reels, how is college football going to do that? Now, you're not going to get rid of the conference championships. That's a lot of money for these teams, sponsored, etc. All right, fine, which is usually the first Saturday of December. Excuse me, the second Saturday of December, I understand, is the Army-Navy game. And the Army-Navy game needs to be played. And I understand that it's a special game. It's the only college football game that gets played Saturday, 2 o'clock, whether it's in Philadelphia or D.C. All right, I get that. But now, just like with anything else in life, and this is no shade toward the U.S. military by any means, but we've seen a lot of adjustments. We've seen a lot of edits. We've seen a lot of things that have bucked tradition, whether that's extended playoffs in all the sports, whether that's the in-game betting that we see on the screens, which obviously you know how I feel about that. A lot of this stuff that has been revamped, changed, schedules, streaming, you name it. And the inconvenience. Well, guess what? College football could do the same for the Army-Navy game. And here's how I would schedule it. So after the regular season is over, which is Thanksgiving weekend, the following weekend we know conference championship. Now, the weekend after that, Friday is when they should start the college football playoff. So it's, in essence, I get it that the team that's going to have the bye, they'll have 3 weeks as opposed to a month. But you'll have 2 weeks after the end of the regular season to when the college football playoff begins. So let's just use the teams this year. Friday, the day before, which would be the Army-Navy game. Friday at 4 o'clock, you have the James Madison, Oregon game. Just using it as an example. It's a bad game. Not many people are going to watch. But remember, it's Christmas season. There are people that are taking off. It is a Friday. Maybe you have those Fridays where you get out early, or you can watch the game on your phone. As we all know, everything is streamed in this day and age. So that would be the first game of the playoff. The nightcap, you'll have your Alabama-Oklahoma type game. Perfect. No problem. Away we go. That's Friday. Saturday, Army-Navy, high noon, 12 o'clock. That's when you have the Army-Navy game. 4 o'clock. That's when you'll have whatever game. You want to put the Tulane and Ole Miss game there and then set the other matchup for primetime, which was what? Miami, Texas Tech, I guess. Yeah, it was Miami, Texas Tech. That'll be your, or Texas A&M, not Texas Tech. Miami, Texas A&M, you want to put that in primetime or flip-flop it? Fine. Now you have a scenario where you have the college football played that weekend. You have 5 games. I understand Army-Navy. They're going to get upset. Oh, how could you do that? Whatever. Please. Fans get screwed over all the time. So, unfortunately, the academy is going to get screwed over in that regard. But it's not as if the game isn't going to be played or it's overlapping one game to the next. No, they still have their standalone time frame to watch the game. So now, the week after, where you have the quarterfinals, would be where the opening of the college football playoff would be, as we saw this past year. So now you have your quarterfinals that right before Christmas. Then you'll have your semifinals on, you want to do New Year's Eve, New Year's Day? Fantastic. You could do that. New Year's Eve, you have the game at 7:30. New Year's Day, you have the game at 7:30. You can still have the Rose Bowl. You can still have all that, whatever. But then you have the game, which that would be, I guess, the Sugar Bowl, because the Sugar Bowl is generally that game. And then I guess you'll have the Cotton Bowl or whatever, the Orange Bowl the night before. Who knows? And that's January 1st. And then what you have is the week later, January 10th. By the 10th, it should be over and out. College football done, finished. And I understand if it falls on a weekend, maybe you could play it that Monday, which would be before, or maybe that Thursday. Thursday, I think, would be perfect. So depending on where it falls. But before the wild card weekend begins, the college football season should be over. So whether that falls on January 8th, the game, January 9th, the 10th, you name it. If it falls on any of those days, then you could say that is the end of the college football season. Why can't they do that? I'm sure they've thought about it. And I'm sure, listen, if I'm thinking about it, I'm in my apartment. I'm sure the committee has thought about that 50 times over. I get it. But why not implement it? Because you won't have the situation. I understand this year notwithstanding, because you had the teams advance, Indiana advanced. You had Texas Tech got, obviously, their doors blown off. I'm drawing blanks here now, all of a sudden. Yeah, another team advanced that was in who had the bye. What were the bye teams? Jeez, blanks. Indiana, Ohio State. Oh, Georgia also lost too. Yeah, think about that. Oh, no, Ohio State wasn't. Georgia. I can't believe all of a sudden right now, there's like the brain just went, something just unplugged in my brain as far as the top 4 seeds. Unlike last year when none of them advanced, you did have teams advance this year. Now, I understand Georgia was out, Ole Miss. I understand Texas Tech was out, Miami. You also had Oregon, who played. Oh, Indiana, of course, was there. They advanced. And Ohio State was also out. So why not do it that way? That should be how the college football playoff should unfold. It shouldn't be a thing where, oh, well, we have to do it this way. We have to play till the 19th. We have to. No. And if it's only because of the Army-Navy game, that game could be played at 12 o'clock, which could be a lead into the third playoff game. Why not have it 4:30 on Friday? Why not? Please, make it make sense, especially if it's the bad game. It's not as if people are going to be running to the sets to watch a James Madison, Oregon type game anyway. So, again, we don't want to get slaughtered in the ratings. So what? People are going to watch the bigger games. They're not going to watch that game. And listen, if you're a Dynamo college football fan, they're going to watch that game regardless. And it's not like, oh, you got to be in front of your TV set. You can watch it on your phone. So, yeah, I don't want to hear it. They should change that with the quickness. I don't want to hear it. That's just my thought. And let me see. Toppers, you think they're battle tested? Here's the thing with the Patriots. All right, they beat the Chargers. I wasn't shocked. I don't know if they're battle tested just yet. I really don't. Because who have they played on their schedule this year? And who have they beaten? All right, they beat Buffalo in Buffalo. Excellent win. They won in Tampa. We saw Tampa fizzle out. And they did beat Baltimore late in the year, who was fighting for a playoff spot, but they missed the playoffs. I understand they're formidable opponents. They're good opponents. But, and not to say they had to go through a gauntlet. I understand that too. But I don't know if they're battle tested. And even if they win this week, now if they win a game where, let's say they're trailing 20-10 in the third quarter and they win 24-20, and they get a big defensive stop there where the Texans have the ball last, then I could say, all right, they're battle tested. I don't know that just yet. That's just me. Cal. For the old way, you lose one game, can't be considered. Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know if it's ruined college football, but we all know that now it's all about money. It's all about content. We get it that this day was coming. When they went from the system of old to the 14 playoff, that's when you knew the genie was out of the bottle. I hear what you're saying, though. I do. There was nothing like having New Year's Day. That's when you knew a champion was going to be crowned. And I wish that would be the case now with college football, but you can't do it. You can't start the college football season in the middle of August in order for them to finish on January 1st. They're not going to do that. But yeah, I don't know if it's, I think it's actually enhanced college football from this regard. More teams are alive, more people are going to watch. And that's the whole point of it. That's the reason why they did it. So for them to say, what is this? We're having trouble streaming in Facebook? It's maybe an ace, but who knows? Who's to say that here where they are, they're at 12, and they're going to probably expand to 16, and it's going to be, before you know, it's going to be the NCAA tournament, which now that would ruin college football. That I'll say. Because 12, I think, is enough. But it's just going to keep going higher and higher, just like the NFL. 16 went to 17 games. They're going to go to 18 games. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And all because it's the almighty dollar. It's content. And that's where college football is at right now. College football, they know that, all right, the James Madison Oregon matchup isn't going to come close to anything like what we saw over the wild card weekend. I mean, I can't compare, but it's still going to draw a ton of fans to watch. That's the good thing. But the bad thing is that, right, if they expand it to 16 and in 20 years it's going to be 24 teams, forget it. And if they're going to do that, then they're going to be playing these games to Valentine's Day. So, and even if they do 16, it's dangerous because then they're going to have no choice but to play on the Saturday of the Army-Navy game. Well, they're going to have these games end in February? They're going to go up against the NFL, but what? They're going to play the championship game the day after the conference championship games for the NFL? At that point, nobody's going to care. Even if you are dying to college, maybe, I don't know. Maybe J-Rod would think otherwise. But college football should be done before the NFL postseason in my eyes. That's it. But I'm with you. I prefer the old way. I agree with you there, but I don't know if it's ruined college football, though. I want the Canes to win. It'd be cool if they do it at home. You know what? I want them to. And I know it's kind of messed up to say because Indiana's never, this is the first they've ever gone in a college football season. But I like to see what the hell. If the Canes lose, I'm not going to shed a tear. And because, again, I have no, I don't have a team that I'm rooting for here. But, yeah, I would say the Canes. I'd root for them. I don't think they're going to win, though. I believe the Rose Bowl should be the national championship games. Granddad. Yes, they are. I agree with you on that, Toppers. That should be it. And that's perfect. To play it right there, 4:30 or 4:45, whenever that game is, that should be it. That should be the championship game. The setting, everything. I agree. Not the Sugar Bowl at night or the Orange Bowl, even though we've seen the Orange Bowl be where the national championship game has played. But, yeah, Notre Dame cried. They took their ball and went home, which I didn't mind at first, but, at this point, they're young. Yeah. I understand you're on the Pats. Yeah. All good. Yeah, no, absolutely. Nothing personal, just business. I haven't seen them really be tested just yet. Just yet. Even the game against the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers won't win that game. Not in my eyes. To me, to be battle tested is when you're down, come from behind, show some grit, toughness. That's not to say that the Patriots don't have that. But I need to see that in the crux of a game where, we've turned the ball over 3 times. They're killing us on defense. We got to find a way. And then they do find a way to win. They're young. Oh, no, they are. The quarterback, 100%. Without question. Let's see. What else do I have? Do I have one other thing? All right. I'm throwing this out there just for receipt purposes. Did you see this last night? Giannis, who scored his first basket in the second half against the T-Wolves, who literally ran him out of the gym. I believe, what was it, 136 to 109 or something like that? Or 139, 106 was the final. No Rudy Gobert, no Anthony Edwards, and they lost by 30-something at home. To where Giannis, because I believe when the Bucks were going into the locker room, they got booed off the court, and Giannis didn't score a field goal. I think he had points just based on free throws, but he didn't score a basket until he got, I believe, first possession of the second half, and he got fouled by Julius Randle and won. And he's sitting there on the court, and he's doing this. Boo! Giannis, come on, my guy. You are better than that. You know better than that. And I even mentioned this on my short earlier on the channel where I said, what is he trying to do? Get himself traded out of Milwaukee? Because I don't care who you are. And I understand in the post game, he said that if you don't want to follow me, or I don't want to follow anything that's negative, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And he contradicted himself. He said, yeah, the fans can do what they want. They have a right, blah, blah, blah. But in essence, he's saying, I'm not going to stand for it. Sorry, Giannis. Whenever you, and not that he's fighting with the fans, but whenever you're going to be against the fans, that's when you're going to lose. And I understand. Mount Rushmore, Milwaukee Bucks players, he's there. It's he. It's Kareem. I understand he was only there, 6 years before he went to LA? About 6 years. We traded 75. He got drafted, 71? I was there like 5 years. 71, 72, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, or maybe 4 years, whatever it was. But you got to put Kareem there. He won a title, went to another. Giannis, I mean, if I think of other Buck players, Ray Allen isn't there. Glenn Robinson isn't there. Sidney Moncrief. Maybe Sidney Moncrief. Junior Bridgman, who was in the trade for Kareem. But my point is that you still, no matter what, you can't go against the fans. And I don't even know if the fans picked up on that, because even when he went boo, boo, it's not as if the fans followed up with boos. Milwaukee's not that type of town. If you did that in New York, Boston, or LA, or Philly, forget about LA, Philly, they would have responded. But, I mean, here's a guy that said that he wants to stay in Milwaukee. He doesn't want to get traded, blah, 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 although there's been a lot of rumblings. But if you're looking for an exit out of Milwaukee and you're going to boo the fans, and the fans are now going to start to get on your case, who knows? Maybe that's his subliminal ploy to try to get himself out of there. But, I mean, listen, I'm looking into this a little bit too deep than I should. But the point of the matter is that if you're going to fight against the fans, especially in the press, it is a no-win situation. And Giannis should know better than that. You're not a rookie player. You're not a second, third-year player where you're like, I don't care about the fans, blah, blah. Guy's been in the league 13 years, all with the Bucks, won a championship. And, right, I understand that's not the type of fan base or crowd to boo. It's not the Northeast. It's not a basketball hotbed, per se, but still, you cannot do it. And I love Giannis. I think he's fantastic. I think he's great, but you can't do it. Oh, you're welcome, Toppers. Anytime. Here we go. I've been waiting for 40 years of payback. That's right. And somebody mentioned that on Sirius XM yesterday. And I never forget it. 85, Rams at Soldier Field, NFC Championship game. And Eric Dickerson fumbling all over the place. Dieter Brock was the quarterback, 24-0. Yeah. And I'm going to root for you guys, Bio. I'm rooting for you guys hard. I keep receipts. I love it. I love it. Yes, Cal. Remember that? How did that turn out? With Javi Baez, the 5 minutes that he was in a Met uniform? 100%. And, yeah, that didn't go well either. That was his first year in New York. Didn't have a good first year. Fans wanted to warm up to him, but that year was somewhat like Carlos Beltran's first year in the Met uniform. And then remember the next year in 2006, early in the season when he hit the home run and Carlos Delgado and I believe Julio Franco going, you better get out there for the curtain call, and he went up reluctantly. Oh, yeah. Receipts indeed. I love that, Bio. Absolutely. But yeah, Lindor, that's a great example. How he didn't want to go out there. Well, not more Beltran, but yeah, how Lindor, for whatever the reason, that first year, and the fans booed, and he didn't understand, and they did the thumbs down. Ay. Only the Mets. Only the Mets. Anything else happening in sports? Let me see. Yep, there you go. 2-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Thielen retiring from the NFL, as Val said earlier. Jack still planning on Hunter playing both ways in 26. All right. I know this is a LeBron thing, separating himself and the agent from Rich Paul's comments about Austin Reeves. I mean, did he really have to say that? I guess he had to just to cover his ass, but still, that's news. Dustin Johnson signs a multi-year extension with LIV. And what about Brooks Koepka coming back to the PGA? And I think 3 other guys want to come back. But between Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, I think Patrick Reed and somebody else, they were like, nah, we're good. We're taking the money. Oh, John Rahm, that's who it was. And Cam Smith. Yes. And listen, that's a huge boon for the PGA because think about it. Other than the major tournaments in golf, where these guys are going to come back to play from the LIV to the PGA, only in the major events, Masters, PGA, US Open, and the Open, aka the British. But all the other tournaments, the LA Open, the Wells Fargo, the Canadian Open, I said Wells Fargo, the Bay Hill Invitational, the Arnold Palmer's. Yeah, those guys can't play on it. But with Koepka coming back, he could play on those. He could play on the tour. He could play in those events. So obviously Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, and Cameron Smith aren't following suit. But you know what? You get one of your guys back. That's a good thing. So Jay, don't leave us today. Kyle Tucker could happen soon. Really? How soon? What are you seeing? You know, I may have to leave for a minute. I may have to go to the restroom. That's what happens, all the H2O. So I may have to pull up the Be Right Back banner. In fact, I'm going to do that. If you guys can indulge me for a couple of minutes. Let me see. Where is that? All right, I'm just going to put up a BRB. I'll be right back. I got to use the restroom. Hang in there. And, yeah, Cal, let me know about the if that could come down the pike any second. I'm just yawning. Sorry, guys. All right, let's see. 200 million with opt-outs. Opt-out after year 1 or 2. That's what I'm curious. Let me go on Twitter. Yeah, if it's official, I got my puppy over there. She's going to probably start barking. She probably feels, oh, you're done with your live stream? It's like, no, I'm sitting here. You have to lay back down. Cardinals request interview with Arthur Smith for a head coaching job. All right. Oh, here we go. Oh, but this is a couple days ago, right? Oh, no, it's yesterday. David Stearns. Yeah, I saw that. Why is this supposed to like new news? Yeah, I know. David Stearns. I certainly understand that there have been points in this offseason that have been frustrating for our fan base. Yeah, well, when you're bringing in ex-Yankees, let's start there. Yeah, here's Heyman. That was 22 hours ago. Let me see what Heyman's got. You know, Heyman's always on top of this stuff. Tucker's one of the best players in Major League Baseball. He'll give the Mets a third megastar, but fit with New York Mets seems imperfect. Yeah, two $50 million right fielders. Met fans are speaking loudly. They want Tucker, and I get it. He's one of the best players. And no. All right, I'm going to say this now, guys. I'm going to say this now. Yankees are quiet. I didn't know that. Ryan Weathers for prospects. All right, let me look in the camera as I say this to you. Oh, wait, Blue Jays 8 for 300. Wow. Which when you average that out, that's what? 30-some-odd million a year? Does he take the 4 for 2? I would take the Blue Jay deal. All right. Cal is for you and everybody else that's on. All I have to say is this. If I had David Stearns right now, and forget about, oh, you're going to sign Kyle Tucker? Here's what I would ask him. Have you talked to Juan Soto about this? And people could say, well, why should he talk to Juan Soto? He's just a player on the team. He should just be able to move over to left field. He's making $51 million a year. He's getting his $765 million. I get all that. Yes. But what happened there with Edwin Diaz? And I understand that Diaz was a free agent. So it's not as if the Mets had to go back to Diaz to say, hey, we're bringing in Devin Williams to pitch the 8th inning. We still want to sign you or re-sign you and be the closer, which obviously the Mets did not do. And I understand the Mets didn't have an obligation to do that, but you would think that just out of respect to say, we're this close to signing Devin Williams, to reach out to his representation or even Diaz himself to say, we're thinking about doing this. We're this close to doing this, but we still want you part of the team. Out of respect. Because, right, that's like if I'm working at my job. Let's say if, I don't know, I'm doing this now from 12 to 2. And obviously I do this independently, but let's just say, oh, we're going to have another guy that's going to do the same thing you're doing, but we still want you to be 12 to 2, but just in case if you don't, we're going to put him in at 12 to 2, but we still want you at 12 to 2. If they come to me to say that, I'd be like, oh, all right, I appreciate that. And you know what? Yeah, I'm still going to be 12 to 2. So if that's going to be your 2 to 4 guy, great. But if they came to me and said, or if I find out that, wait, they got their guy that could be the 12 to 2 guy, but they haven't told me, I'm going to be like, wait a minute. That's kind of a diss, even though I may be a free agent that I'm out there trying to pursue other deals. But I would look at that and be like, nah, maybe I do want to go elsewhere because they already had their backup plan. And I understand they got to look out for them, but it's like, wow, just out of respect, they could have reached out to me. But yeah. So that's number one. And I'll say this, Cal, because yeah, I'm going to read your comments in a second. Yeah, no, and I know Soto played left field. I get it. But I would think, out of respect, they should still reach out to him if they haven't done so already. And I would think they've done so because Soto, he's the guy that came to the Mets, and the reason why he came to the Mets was just nonsense when you think about it. Oh, not only is it family, but I see them having a brighter future with the talent that they have more so than the Yankees. And maybe, who knows, maybe he saw that Hal Steinbrenner wasn't going to, and look at what they've done. Ryan Weathers, Re-sign Paul Blackburn, Ahmed Rosario, and Paul DeJong. That's what they've done this offseason. So you know what? Soto's actually right that the Mets have done a lot better this offseason, not to say that what they've done has been spectacular. But I would have to think the front office has had to contact them, no? And yeah, Ryan Weathers, yeah. And why don't they keep Cody Bellinger? I understand he wants a 7th year. You figure they want to keep it in the family between Clay and Cody Bellinger. But I'll say this. And yeah, here's your last comment. If Toronto signs Tucker and Cease, they lose 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th round picks for 2026. Wow, that many? Yeah, I got news for you, man. I'm not going to like the signing. I'm not going to like it. Listen, I'm going to have to accept it. I'm going to have to say, all right, great. But does Kyle Tucker, does that acquisition, and remember, he got nagging injuries last year. And he's 29. I'm not going to be in love with it. I'm not. I understand come opening day, I'll be rooting for him like hell. But I'm not going to be in love with it. I'd rather the Mets, they need a center fielder, as we know. Kyle Tucker's not playing center field. And you have your outfield corners set up, but who's playing center field? Where's that guy? What, Tyrone Taylor again? No offense to him, but and you brought it up earlier. Would you rather sign Tucker? Let's just say it's 4 for $200 and he gets an opt-out after the 2nd year. Would you rather go on that route or keep Alonso? You keep Alonso. You got Soto's a left-handed stick. You got Lindor, who's a switch hitter. I get that. The rest of your lineup. Francisco Alvarez, he bats right-handed. Polanco, a left-handed stick. If you bring in Tucker, another left-handed stick. They need right-handed hitting power. Obviously, they're losing Alonso. And Brett Beatty, a left-handed stick. Mauricio, a left-handed stick. What are they going to do? They're going to move Mauricio to the outfield? Luis Angel Acuna? Is he going to be a center fielder? I know the kid, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. I was thinking Drew Gilbert, but it's not him. Carson Henge, is he going to be the guy? All of a sudden, he's been like the hot guy. I don't know. For a tax-paying team, sign qualified free agents, sign the first one, forfeits their 2nd round pick. Oh, okay. Interesting. See, I didn't know that. So I'm glad I learned something there. Yep, Carson Bench. Absolutely. Yeah, because I know that teams get compensatory picks once you give them the qualifying offer. And if they decline, then obviously they'll get a pick. I didn't know it was a situation where that's what happens. But you said for a tax-paying team, signing qualified free agents. But is that a situation where was Tucker offered? Was he extended a qualifying offer in Chicago? He may have been and declined it. Because like Alonso, that was one I think they were going to give him a qualifying offer, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good." No, and his qualifying offer would have been over $30 million, no? But anyway, I digress. Tucker comes with a call. Okay. Right, because he's a free agent. And I guess because he's a free agent. No, that makes sense. I was thinking Alonso. I had Alonso in the brain, even though, he signed an extension technically, but yeah. But yeah, I'll say this. Like I just told you, Cal, Tatsuya, Rhoda, Everyday Mets, Jonathan. Haven't said that in a while. Yeah, I won't say I won't like it. I'm not in love with it. How about that? I can't say I wouldn't like it because it shows that the Mets are doing something. Dad's chips. Yes. Got to say dad's chips. Yeah, I just wouldn't be in love with it. That's all. I wouldn't. But yeah, come opening day when his name is announced and he comes out of the dugout and let's go. Let's hope he plays 150 games. He's healthy. And that's it. And I understand Soto's played left field, and I get that too. I understand. But, Soto, yeah, is he going to be sensitive? Is he going to want to move to left field? Is he going to say, no, I'm playing right field? Is he going to pull a Rafael Devers? I don't know. I just don't. So therefore, yeah, so that's my take. And if that's the case, I mean, listen, I'm going to sign off in a couple of minutes, but you'll get my take, and it's going to be passion. It's going to be dripped with whatever. If it is official at some point later today or tomorrow, whatever, and I'll be on tomorrow, podcast pregame, So, yeah. Either way, you'll get my take. And, like I said, I won't be in love with it. All right. I think that's what we got, people, right? That's what we got. Anything else happening in sports? Anything else that's newsworthy that just popped up? Yeah, I'm going back to Twitter now just to see what the latest. I'm surprised Carl Tucker's name or Omar Khan's name is here. I got to read this. He's in today's news. Yeah, here's the people. Look at this. Another wasted season by another washed veteran. Thanks, Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan. Fire Omar Khan. Horrible roster building. Only care about names. Now, listen, they tried. They tried. Yeah, now they're killing Omar Khan. Stop. Steeler draft picks. Hold on a second. Steelers have a bunch of draft picks, right? Compensatory. All right, I know I digress here. I'm also looking at this stuff. So anyway, that's what I got, people. All right, Kyle, what you got? Kyle Tucker signs with the Mets. Will you buy one person from India? If they want it, they wouldn't know who Kyle Tucker is if they found him. But who knows? And that'll be tomorrow because when I do those live streams, I do it through my phone. And obviously, I don't do it through the link here. But maybe for fun, like if somebody pops up and, hey, where are you from? And if they say India, I say, hey, do you know who Kyle Tucker is? And if they say yes, then maybe I'll do something. Maybe not a jersey, because who knows? A Kyle Tucker jersey is going to be like $100-something. If I get him a Kyle Tucker t-shirt, maybe I'll do that. So that's funny, Kyle. I like that. All right, that'll do it, my good people. I need to eat too. I'm a little dehydrated. I drank through all this water. And not that it was a lot, but I had water this morning, etc. But I appreciate you all. You know that. And I'll be on tomorrow. Podcast pregame, as you know. Let's pull up the banners here before we sign off. Podcast pregame live, 9:30 a.m. We'll see what happens with this Kyle Tucker scenario. That is a given. Any last thoughts in the chat? I'll post it up before I bid adieu. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment. I don't know if anybody's increased. Probably not. It's probably still stuck at 991. Yes, it is. That's where we're at right now. Let me just see. Yep. You probably can't see that. Yeah, it's 991. Trying to get to 1,000 people and beyond. So less than 10 away. So if you haven't subscribed, for those who are watching this for the first time, please do so. I would sincerely and gratefully appreciate it. And latest podcast edition coming tomorrow around 12:30, 1 o'clock. Thanks for all that stopping by and live and a replay. You already know. I appreciate you all, you guys, for your support. And a lot that's going to come down the pike as far as content goes. I'm going to put up something tomorrow, but I got to finish on another project. And maybe after the podcast, I'll talk about it in the podcast pregame tomorrow. But, yeah, definitely keep your eyes out for that. It's football related. It's Steeler related, but it's football related. The biggest loss. I talked about that earlier. And in fact, today is the anniversary, the 30th anniversary of the Steelers beating the Colts in the AFC Championship game. That was one of the more underrated championship games ever. Remember, that was the ball where Jim Harbaugh threw it in the end zone and Aaron Bailey looked like he caught it, but it slipped through his arms and it hit the Three River Stadium turf. Quick story. I was in Houston, Texas. And I actually have an old videotape. It's somewhere. I don't have it with me. If I had it and I was able to upload it, I'd put it on my social media feeds. But true story, I happened to be in Houston, Texas on a business trip, and I watched the game in a hotel room where my ex-girlfriend flew down with me for the weekend because I was Martin Luther King weekend. Flew down. We had a good old time there in Houston, but I told her, I said, listen, sorry, I got to watch this game. Afterwards, we could go out, check out the sights. We did see sights on Saturday, but we go out to dinner, whatever you want to do, it's fine. But, if I got it, man, I got to get that video because it was on an old 8mm videotape, and I don't have that player anymore. I got to upload that, find that somewhere. I know I can find it, but I got to upload that, record that, and put it on there because, I was literally in tears. I think it was the catch. Was it Ernie Mills by the 1 yard line, and he punched it into the end zone? That game had so many twists, turns, etc. A great AFC Championship game. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. Maybe I'll even watch it later on tonight just for old time's sake. But that'll do it, my good people. If you don't know, now you know. This is what I love to do. Sports in the blood and the DNA. Always coming at you with nothing but passion, fire, energy, fury, with my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens on all of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, for I am to whoever you are. The J Reels live stream always comes live, correct, direct, and in full effect. From the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Central, the South Pacific, and all points beyond. Peace, love, and God bless everybody. I'll see you tomorrow on the podcast pregame. We'll talk more, especially if Kyle Tucker does sign with the Mets or the Blue Jays for that matter, and anything else that's happening in sports or whatever else that's on anybody's mind. Maybe somebody in India will want a Kyle Tucker shirt. Kyle, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But until then, everybody, enjoy the rest of your hump day. Enjoy your evening, etc. Until tomorrow on The Flip.